This motion has been listed and stood down a few times, I must say. I must also say that I represent 9 local government areas. My senatorial district is made up of 9 local government areas. And out of the 9 local government areas, 5 of them are oil and gas producing. So this is a very important motion for not just my senatorial district, but for Delta, and by extension, Niger Delta. For Nigeria. And Nigeria, of course, yes. So the motion is being co-sponsored by Senator Ede Dafinone, Delta Central, and Senator Joel Thomas, Delta South. Mr. President, the motion is for urgent need to investigate the incessant and nefarious acts of crude oil thefts in the Niger Delta and the actors. The Senate notes that Nigeria is largely dependent on crude oil for its economic growth and development. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the oil sector contributed 6.33% of the nation's GDP, which translates to 45.6 billion in 2022. The Senate also notes that the oil sector in Nigeria plays a pivotal role in providing employment opportunities for millions of Nigerian citizens and accounts for 70% of its budget financing, while oil and gas made up of 90% of export income and 85% of government revenue in the first quarter of 2022. Further notes that statistical data which have been reported over the years, even till date, have shown that oil bunkering has brought Nigeria into serious socio-economic crisis, and this remains an intractable challenge to the Nigerian oil-dependent economy. Aware that crude oil thefts started at about the late 1970s and early 1980s under the military regime. Also aware that the current collaborative efforts involving the Joint Task Force of the Nigerian military, operations like Operation Delta Safe, Operation Dakatada Barawo, along with the contributions of various security entities, states and local governments, and international oil companies, IOCs, in the Niger Delta region have yielded positive results. These efforts have led to an increase in oil production, reaching 1.51 million barrels per day in the first quarter of 2023. This figure marks an improvement from the 1.49 million barrels per day recorded in the same quarter of 2022, and is notably higher than the production volume of 1.34 billion barrels per day in the fourth quarter of 2022. Observes that despite the efforts of certain military personnel and security agencies like the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps and DSS in combating oil theft in the Niger Delta region, there are individuals within these institutions who engage in illicit activities. These individuals collaborate with unscrupulous figures within the oil industry to undermine the nation's economy. Also observes that it has come to attention that oil theft in Nigeria thrives due to a troubling collaboration between security forces, militia groups, the local population, and certain employees within oil companies. These parties employ sophisticated methods to carry out theft from oil facilities located within the country. Given vast oil and gas reserves, one would expect crude oil production to continuously increase, aligning with OPEC's production quota of 1.74 million barrels per day. concerned that there have been accusations and counter-accusations of oil bunkering and various other crimes between the military and local militia groups. These allegations underscore the significant level of sabotage and disruption to the nation's economic backbone. In 2022, it was reported that Nigeria suffered daily losses of approximately 437,000 barrels of crude oil, amounting to a value of 23 million due to criminal activities. Moreover, between March 2023, Nigeria incurred a substantial loss of 65.7 million barrels of crude oil, valued at $83 per barrel, translating to a staggering revenue loss of 2.3 trillion as a result of oil theft. Deeply concerned that the impact of these oil thefts in our oil sector is more substantial than what official reports suggest. While this issue was previously discussed discreetly, it is now gaining prominent and vocal attention. Aware that Section 20 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, with alterations, empowers the state to protect and enhance the environment, as well as safeguard the nation's land. Furthermore, Section 88 of the 1999 Constitution, in conjunction with Order 101 of the Senate Standing Order 2022 as amended, grants the Nigerian Senate the authority to conduct comprehensive investigations into the affairs of individuals or government departments charged with responsibilities, providing them with substantial oversight powers. Worried that the activities of these oil thieves and their collaborators have significantly hampered crude oil production, posing a substantial threat to the nation's economy. Accordingly, resolves to urge the Senate to constitute an ad hoc committee to conduct an investigation into the actions of security forces, militia groups, the local populace, oil company employees, and any individuals or entities suspected to be using sophisticated methods to pilfer oil facilities within the country. Mr. President and colleagues, you hear every day of bunkerings and various vessels being bombed. There are no sacrosancts in this industry. There shouldn't be any. The second, thank you, I will. The second prayer is to mandate the security operatives to utilize advanced technologies such as aerial drones to enhance the security of oil and gas facilities, effectively reducing oil theft and fortifying the country's revenue prospects. 3, call upon the federal and state governments to create a conflict resolution mechanisms involving international oil companies, host communities, and security agencies to address the root cause of oil theft and pipeline vandalism. 4, instruct Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation to engage host communities, local governments and state officials, IOCs, security agencies in collaborative efforts with private securities in the protection of oil pipeline infrastructure, rather than being handled by a few elites in the region. Establish a dedicated special court to handle cases related to oil theft, pipeline vandalism, and associated criminal offenses. Urge the federal government to explore avenues for engaging with modular and oil bunkering operators. and further urge federal government to legalize artisanal refining to enable the production of more refined products at affordable rates for Nigerian citizens. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Mbeki.